Mystery font 42, Ope Intuit. Live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where we started a revolution in the home of one. Good gray array. Liaised, the mind may be game to play today. You are the resonation of love's imagination. You are more than a brain. You are a brain's elation. You are the radiant rain. Perpendicular trains parallel against hate, parallel against pain. There is always reason to celebrate. There is always reason for concern. There is always reason to be glad. There's always reason for solemnity. Where and in what condition and how are you? From the intersection of free humanity and the meaning of life, the mystery font is preparing for micro theater showings of the falsehood. The fonted house, you see, it is October, comes soon, and fonted the house be. What is the falsehood about? What is the moment we're in about? The eyes of liberty include satellites that monitor climate change. Liberty's eyes and ears are worth defending. He said he can grab us by the pussy, and now he says he can grab and claw out our eyes. NASA, keep our satellites online. For instance, is one thing someone might say if this were an episode of Mystery Font 42 Ope Intuit. Oh yes. Yes, that's it. Oh, good gravy, good gray, good gray. I think I'm having an episode. I might have some kind of, I don't know, I might be the bearer of some massive projection. I might have a derangement syndrome because I'm definitely having an episode of Mystery Font 42. Ope Intuit. Good gray array. Well, where are we? Here in the dark, with our eyes closed, all of us in our own spaces and our own places, each of us in our own corpus, we are, all of us, ubiquitous. Yet we are also linked by this mystery font omnibus, and in fact by human sentient omnibus. We are ubiquitous and ubiquitous at once. And even with morphic resonance, satellites that cost millions, hundreds of millions, or billions of dollars to build and to maintain, and all of the effort and education and expense and care and humanity and science that was built by and that builds and is. It is part of how science has mechanism to exist. It is our body cam. And that seems really stupid to let anyone fuck with. It is a sign that we are dealing with something that's it's not sufficient to say it's not normal. It's just simply insufficient. We need to represent what we're dealing with accurately in order to apprehend it. We have to prehend it. We're dealing with undeclared asymmetrical warfare. And there are some basic mechanisms that the falsehood utilizes. Right, Scoop Troop? I know you know. I know we all know. I know we know. It's just a mirroring thing, really. And undeclared asymmetrical warfare can be missed as what it is here. That is sabotage. And is that misspelled? Dereliction. The waste and fraud here is worth looking at in this way as an excellent example of projection. And projection as a battering ram. Like Stephen Miller, Elon Musk utilizes a 180-degree mirror projection of his own guilty conscience and pleasures and desires and how he sees opportunity. So they are often projecting similar attacks to those they're staging, if not to break wind of it, to cloud the air, and be ahead of the game on claiming somebody else is planning to do some shit. Stephen Miller and Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of these lynch mobbers, like Charlie Kirk, claim that someone else is about to do some real shit. And they keep farting what's being smelted in their own caboose, or about to come out of that. But what they're smelting inside of them, they smelt it because they smelted it. It is a bald-faced, predatory attack. We are dealing with undeclared, asymmetrical warfare. All of the accusations are confessions. Let's look at some. And whether they're being registered upon us, having been ringing in our ears for some time. I remember the wincing trauma of hearing someone we all knew has committed crimes using a term, or having his minions, like M, use a term like lawfare. 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 Using law as a form of warfare. I think it's pretty plain that when used as an accusation to prevent holding Trump accountable, it's pretty patently ridiculous. Someone who's done horrific things and just wants to make the lens begin the day after they did their crime, or the day before court began, is trying to edit fact. And that means they're trying to lie. But the infamous escalator always trumps, always transcends and ruptures and explodes defilement. He doesn't just do a little bit of targeted legal aggression. He conducts war. Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation made a death threat to all of us, saying that the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 was in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. That sounds like don't unmask ICE in the streets and hold them hostage if they don't give you a judicial warrant and tell you who they are. That sounds like, let us take your trans kids, let us take your community members because we suspect them. That sounds like, if you don't want to get hurt, just let it happen. That sounds like a lynch mobber saying, don't fuck with our lynch mob. And it's accurate. Like Charlie Kirk, the Heritage Foundation and its president are lynch mobbers. Period. They are lynch mobbers. They are lynch mobbers. They are Nazis. Period. We're dealing with the Confederacy. And either we deal with it or it deals with us. And it is evil, and it is tyrannical, and it will mass murder maybe most of us. We stop this. We stop this because we don't suffer tyrants. We stop this scoop troop because we are the reality distortion fielding, and we have the technology to recognize a shocking boundary violation, like claiming accountability is really lawfare, and that really the one being asked for accountability is under attack by people who are actually the bad ones. We are the reality distortion fielding, and we can remove the Nazi scourge by helping people who hold that sickness process it, or if need be, kill it themselves, because only you can kill your cancer without killing you. Period. Right, Scoop Troop? Let's take a look at Darvo, shall we? What is Darvo? An illustrious, learned scholar and, I believe, psychologist. I believe practicing psychologist. From Seattle? I should know her name. I should know their name, and I don't offhand. Maybe it will come to me. At any rate, Darvo was coined in the 90s, I believe, not that long ago. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, Darvo. Because a shocking boundary violation like twisting and spinning meaning to reverse victim and offender on being held accountable for crimes, potentially. To just basically flout, in one's own case, any possible speculation that scrutiny by law is legitimate. That just for me, I'm going to say lawfare. And meanwhile, we are now watching war through the court, with the court, the Supreme Court complicit in a Confederate takeover and enslavement of women and the global majority, and a hunting of homeless people. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Right, Scoop Troop? But lawfare, good gravy, it's really just one of those, really, we just have to start taking these things as warnings. When we hear a massive, shocking boundary violation spoken out loud, like, I can grab your pussy, or like, they're sending us rapists, we need to think, well, are they? Are they not actually very clearly? Aren't they sending us rapists? Some of these things they do say out loud. They don't recognize, or we don't recognize which ones to listen to. But I think if we focus on the shocking boundary violations, we will find warnings for things they're doing in the room they just left, or in the rooms they're going into, maybe hours or years hence. But lawfare is a good example. A positioned thing that really spins reality to the projected framing. To have preempted an already reversed victim and offender by denying and attacking reality with the way language frames situation. This is how M and the falsehood weave hokum. Hokum being the material of a web of lies, deception, falsehood, violence, erasure, which includes the trauma and memory loss and other scarring and paralyzed mindness that is not necessarily victim, but at least holding or at bay or healing because we are the reality distortion fielding. And humanity deserves to live. It's pretty clear that people like Elon Musk want to normalize killing people for being alive. And that's a mighty big Darvo in advance. It is truly diabolical. And I think what we're seeing is that the Elons and the Russell Votes and the Peter Thiels are causing massive distortions in the field of reality, in part through catastrophic systemic violence on purpose. Some of the distortions are because of actual violence, if only that we know has been fired and its ordnance will start to hit. But some of the damage obviously is well underway. Anyway, look for it, Scoop Troop. Darvo. D-A-R-V-O. Because when you're not feeling comfortable in a conversation or a situation or a relationship, you may want to look out for when you are giving a bid for, let's find common ground and transparency, or say, I didn't really like that conversation we had last night. Can we check in? When you're looking for common ground or accountability and someone instead denies and baselessly attacks to potentially undermine that accountability, or the person asking for it, looking for common ground, that sort of thing, that denial and attack may be about reversing victim and offender. Darvo. Keep the card handy. Think of it and just slap it over the view screen if you need, because the falsehood will tell you your eyes are evil to see. And what helps might help, and what might help could help. So if it helps, think of whether DARVO, DARVO, is being utilized when your spidey sense tingles. Right? A scoop troop? Well, minded. It's true, you know, our eyes really are our eyes, and we don't even necessarily need eyes to see. There are other kinds of vision. But we shouldn't be allowing a satellite to be scuttled by a vicious, vindictive vandal. It truly is blinding us. This is our body cam, one of them. It should be seen as a confession of allegiance against the United States. That Donald Trump is burning food and firing and decimating people, decimating careers and heroic life journeys of stewardship of resources and land and science and information and trades and practices and art and literature, science, documentation of the American experiment. It is vandalism and sabotage, and it is racist, bigoted, genocidal, Confederate coup, as exemplified by blinding us and preventing our ability to see whether or not we're safe. We're lucky that we're catching that there's apparently lead in a lot of chocolate. Regulation is how we don't destroy our brains because we like a certain product that nobody was testing, or that comes from a source that we never thought we needed to, or the regulation stopped, so it is madness. We are living a farmed, sabotaged, a ruined life. Sabotage, dereliction of duty, waste, and fraud. That it is accurate about so much that's happening, but it's definitely accurate about the destruction of $850 million satellite technology out of spite. This is a slam dunk. This is the new porcelain plate with ketchup on it that he throws against a wall. It is abuse. We are being abused. We are being abused. We are being abused. We are being abused. I would keep the Darvo card on most of the time, I would hold it in your back pocket. I would hold it in your hand. I would have it as a little flap that you can bring down over your goggles. DARVO. Shocking boundary violations and DARVO. That is what we face. People willing to lie and mentally and emotionally torture and devastate us until their materials are gathered to murder us. DARVO. Keep it handy. We are the reality distortion fielding. And our eyes and ears are being attacked. And our libraries, and now our most obvious allowed mouthpieces and public story and safe space for apparently free speech are being visibly coerced, controlled, and erased. This didn't begin today. They outlawed the use of terms like African American and climate change and woman and trans and equality in science and grants for art, for all kinds of things, for documents having to do with the government or in school websites. They are erasing reality to be a Stepford, not version of reality TV exactly. It's really a version of TV reality. We are the reality distortion fielding. We should recognize these shocking boundary violations, like when Kevin Roberts says, "We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be." That death threat to your family was hard for us to really measure because he just punched the back of our throat through our teeth. So we're kind of tending to the fact that our lips are pretty torn up and what's left of our teeth, as well as wondering if we can breathe with what's happened to the back of our throat, which he punched. Stephen Miller and Kevin Roberts and Charlie Kirk are lynch mobbers. They're Nazis. They are the violent, raving mobs. And they project it. They project it onto innocent trans people. They project it onto innocent Americans who have brown and black skin. They are lynch mobbing Nazi Ku Klux Kucks. They are Nazis. And the shocking boundary violations that Nazis use are meant to paralyze us. Like publishing a nearly 1,000-page confession to a good amount of the bad they have done already. They are a lynch mob. What else besides lawfare, can you think of that have been, or now you see are projections? What are you noticing now repercuss or show up in the hands of the people who accused others of using them, but with exponential, potentially, escalation? We are experiencing ethnic cleansing. Where's a projection there? I would say Stephen Miller projects upon one isolated criminal an invasion, naming after one isolated victim of a horrific murder his entire legion of scapegoated boogeymen who are an invasion, he says, labeling immigrants and migrants, he says, as an invasion, like calling protesters insurrectionists, creating a warped and criminalizing framing. But truly, the projection is that there is an invasion. And the invasion is real. But the image that is the true image of the invasion that Stephen Miller is projecting onto immigrants is coming from inside Stephen Miller and from inside the White House. The invasion is coming from within America to a large extent, and from within the president, from within Kevin Roberts. You don't say you're coming into the street in a way which people will want to defend with their lives if you're not planning to unleash the heritage of white patriarchal terror's poisoned wool blankets. Kevin. Poisoned wool blankets. That is what we're dealing with here. They are Ku Klux Klan, they're Nazis, and that's spawn. It is cancer. And we do not enable cancer. We offer healthcare, we offer boundaries, we offer safe help, because we don't leave anyone behind, including people who are trying to ethnic cleanse others. We can stop them and get them help rather than enabling them. We can get Kevin Roberts help rather than enabling these deranged, vicious, sociopathic, pet-killing, lynch-mobbing, murderers. Kevin Roberts is a murderer. Like M. We are in an abusive relationship with people conducting ethnic cleansing and genocide on multiple fronts, conducting sabotage, there is dereliction of duty, and there is projection of waste and fraud that must be fixed by people who get to come in and fiddle with everybody's private parts until they're not private to anything ever, ever again. Because we're dealing with Nazis who do, intentionally or not, project their crimes. So we are dealing with warfare through illegalizing people, through illegalizing anti-fascists in a country that was built on stopping fascism and from which the greatest generation did, as the Allies, stop fascism, at least for a time. The Nazis in Germany met a boundary, and we should have done that with the Confederacy. We never should have allowed the construction of celebratory statues well after the end of the Civil War in the 20th century. That was some Ku Klux Klan terrorist damage that we allowed to occur. That's the kind of nonsense that Charlie Kirk and J.D. Vance and M and Kevin Roberts and Tucker Carlson like to spread. We need to take on the vicious hate, the entire bandwidth of this patriarchal terrorist damage. We are responsible to take this on. We are responsible to make sure that we don't allow what Kevin Roberts is doing. Or we are just guards of what they are doing. Silence is participation. Silence is participation. And these Nazis need to be stopped by Americans. Period. That's you. So are you a not-see? Or are you someone who is a seer? That if you see something, you say something, and that you don't choose to not see some people as people. Don't be a Nazi. The future of our habitat depends on it. The future of forests and lungs and your great-great-grandchildren and whether or not they will exist. We are the reality distortion fielding, and it's how we know there's something there when someone says you are in an abusive relationship, because you recognize that it's true. Like you recognize that Kevin Roberts' heritage says loot, rape, kill, and when you see it before you, it is intuitive to agree because of how such a person is a person in the world of their own accord. We are in an abusive relationship. All of us are in an abusive relationship with the falsehood. The falsehood. Oh, and by the way, Jordan Peterson, you're there. If you didn't already get that message, you're there. Wonder where that came from. It's worth saying, though. We'll get to that later. But we are, all of us, in an abusive relationship. We are experiencing massive distortions in the fields that build up reality. We are under an undeclared siege of war that is asymmetrical and devastating. And we're 9 months in to the escalated siege of hourly escalations. We are the reality distortion fielding in an abusive relationship. With who? How? How might this be? How is it such? How is it such that is so? An abusive relationship, Tim, you say? Let's take a look at the tape. Who is this cad? We've seen their calling card elsewhere, in fact, everywhere. We've seen their calling card seemingly every elsewhere, and almost always right here. The calling card of the falsehood is everywhere, and we know their fingerprints, but we don't know their face. We know their face, but we don't know their voice. We know their voice, but we don't know if it's their choice. We know it's their choice, but we don't want to know it's their choice. We don't want to look the falsehood in the voice. You are in an abusive relationship. 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 Shocking boundary violations are one common grooming tactic of a narcissist or dark triad personality. If someone in your life points into a camera knowing you'll be looking at the view screen and pulls their finger like a trigger, looking into your eyes, saying, I could shoot someone in the street and not lose anyone. It is a good indicator of a bad situation. You are in an abusive relationship. Who has leveraged and climbed upon a fog of falsehood? Who has donned the falsehood? Who is the falsehood?
That's the fear of separation. 6, the fear of separation. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He meant to draw iceberg Titanic.
You are in an abusive relationship.
So say we all. So say we all. We are in an abusive relationship with the falsehood. Who is the falsehood? If only we could ever decode these calling cards. I mean, they strike again and again and again. How many presidents have called for any and all to give any information that they could to identify the pernicious falsehood? I mean, this is as old as time, is it not? We are the reality distortion fielding. We can tell. We can tell when things are off. We can tell when things are off, and we know that things are off. Here in the imagination of democracy, it's a bit of a ruckus. It's a bit of a not of clutter, but I'm in process pulling things together. to talk about the falsehood. And I think if we don't do it directly and simply, it won't be done. And we can be very direct and simple about it. And we kind of have to. We don't really have any other choice. And part of what we have to face is there. Is it a watch hand? Is it a memorial? What is this that's popping out of the wall? What is this popping out of the wall here? What do symbols mean? And do they mean anything if there's nothing that we eventually find worth protecting? If no point of honor or equality is worth fostering, what and who have we ever been? We are the reality distortion fielding, and we can see when we're being lied to. And it doesn't feel good to profit from evil. It doesn't feel good. With someone actually telling us that they're going to run for a third term, or telling us that they won't have to because they just will stay. Someone deciding that they're going to actually decertify all of the states to hold elections and say that they're now going to make everyone be recertified, essentially just dismantling the election system and taking control of it. We have to recognize that cannot be allowed. We have to actually create boundaries of steel with the narcissist in the White House who is installing total tyrannical fascism and break it. We should arrest Stephen Miller. We should arrest this terrorist, white male supremacist regime. On multiple fronts, we are experiencing fairly dire emergency. And we don't know what kind of emergency we're in if we allow NASA to crash satellites because a violent vandal in the White House wants to piss on something. We are the reality distortion fielding, and we're not fucking stupid. We shouldn't act like it. If we're feeling stupefied, we should try to find those who are safe to foster and mirror our executive function back to henshin, to prehension to apprehension to being able to see and recognize and act, even if it is only raising a voice or saving data from a website that is being erased. We are stewards of reality. I think it's really important to note the similarity between Kyle Rittenhouse and Charlie Kirk, as well as Donald Trump, the vicious way with which they lynch mob shocking boundary violations to prompt people to then have an outsized reaction and then to pounce with reactive abuse, to call those people reacting to their terrorism rash and violent. We're dealing with asymmetrical, undeclared warfare, and part of the mask of that is the pearl clutching and the "you just hate us." That's someone who is lynch mobbing and destroying families because the people aren't white. Says the pearl clutching lynch mobber. We're dealing with the actual toxicity of the full poison wool blankets spectrum. That's what we're dealing with. And we should remember what they've done before.
We are the renovation. Perpendicular trains. Parallel against pain. Imagination. Parallel against hate. Parallel against pain. Radio science brain. We are the renovation. Perpendicular trains. Parallel against hate. Parallel against pain. Of this whole occupation. Perpendicular trains. Parallel against hate. Parallel against hate. Parallel against pain. Perpendicular trains. Parallel against hate. We are more near the break. We can ease any ache. Everything we have took, everything we can take. Six the feet of separation. Six the fear of separation.
Yes. Yes, that. Yes. We're seeing a really basic shape, after all. That it's all been a lie. That for many decades, since before I was born, I imagine since the attempted beginning of the Reconstruction, it's been gaslight. That we say, stop that racism, stop that discrimination, stop that targeting, stop that lynching, whatever it is. And there's gaslight that, oh no, that's not what happened. It wasn't. And in fact, hey, no, wait a minute. And we receive, most often, a fairly thick helping of Darvo. Darvo gets handed down a lot in reaction to attempts at accountability. But that again and again, in different guises, We've been told, oh, you're scolding. Don't tell me you're trying to control. You're being fascist by telling me what to say, rather than entering the room of the conversation of political conscience. Because you so-called conservatives, you Nazi Ku Klux cucks, are cowards. But also because you're, tactically correct that you have nothing except violence and lies to utilize for your deadly greed. Period. For enlisting and being Gestapo to the cause of predatory behavior upon human need and vulnerability. We don't need to be predatory to human need and vulnerability in our capitalism, but we are. We are acting as if it is a necessity to be addicted to punishment. That is so stupid. It's our actual sickness. Our actual sickness is addiction to punishment. Addiction to punishment encouraged, indoctrinated, and re-traumatized by white supremacist, patriarchal terrorism. It mints it, it sustains it, it remakes it, unless we choose otherwise. And here, at the Mystery Font, it is being disassembled, like it is being disassembled elsewhere. It's being disassembled when artists come and share their work here. It's being disassembled by the building and writing and performance of The Falsehood and small micro-theater performances, and eventually with a larger cast elsewhere, including there are so many shocking boundary violations. I'll keep you in suspense. That was a good one. And as we're looking at Donald Trump saying he's going to control elections, remember, he used a shocking boundary violation to avoid the question. He was asked, will you obey the rules of our elections? Will you take the vote as legitimate and believe what the people voted? And if you are in office and voted out, will you observe a peaceful transfer of power? And he said, I won't tell you now. I'll tell you at the time. I won't tell you now. I'll tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense. And that's about as good as dog shit. That's trying to renegotiate the terms of whether or not I get to come up to your apartment. I'm just going to stay as long as I want, and I'll keep you in suspense about whether or not I'm going to let you kick me out before I have my way. That's a predator. Literally making us subservient to them on national television, because neither Hillary Clinton nor Chris Matthews, I believe it was, could raise an actual no you fucking don't, Secret Service take him off the fucking stage sort of level. You don't renegotiate the terms of service. You don't try to reality distort your way through not answering whether or not you are crime. Because it's essentially a confession. will you follow the rules? I'll tell you if I win. I won't tell you now. I'll tell you if I follow the rules later, after I know that I won. Or else this conversation will be a strange memory in your head as you recognize that I violently attacked you when I thought I wasn't going to win. Or we have evidence of bad faith. That kind of behavior is evidence. It is a promise. You don't talk like that if you don't hold bad faith. And J.D. Vance was essentially asked that very question, to comment more or less on Trump's 2020 election and what J.D. thought about whether or not it was true that there was fraud. And he said, in a vice presidential debate, like this was a mammoth time to come clean if he wanted to come clean, and a devastating time at which to affirm that he too would be a donor of the falsehood and just lie through his teeth or obfuscate and coerce. And he did obfuscate and coerce. He was asked, what do you think? And he said, I'm focusing on the future. Essentially asked, will you obey the rules? Instead of answering the question or saying, well, he was a little loose with, I wouldn't handle it that way, or nothing to distance himself whatsoever, he says, I'm focusing on the future. Which is basically to say, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance just talk to people, talk to reporters like they normally talk to women, which is to placate them, to shut them up. They are Nazi, patriarchal terrorists, and they just lie to get weaponry. What did you think of the election? And he says, I'm just focusing on the future. That is the most I've already won entitled bullshit. Someone should have slapped the white off him. Tim Walz was right there. Tim Walz should have fucking smacked him across the face. Absolutely. Don't fuck with humanity with a stern shit-eating grin of confidence on your face saying, oh, I'm focused on the future. You're focused on the future while you drag our kids to a world where the age of consent is 14. You're focused on the future where women can't drive because you don't want them to have agency and can't own property. You're focused on the future where the Nazis won. You're focused on the future where Curtis Yarvin is making smoothies and energy drinks and energy batteries and shit out of people. It's super important to recognize that we are really there, and we're definitely there if we don't all push back and thwart, entirely flummox and throw onto its back this Nazi menace. It is havoc, and they will kill millions of people. They will kill millions of people. The way that the story gets missed is so interesting. Because Charlie Kirk essentially lynch mobbed his whole life, like Stephen Miller, lynch mobbing and trying to provoke terrible fear and doing so over and over and over and over and over again, terrorizing people, terrorizing the daughter of George Floyd, terrorizing anyone who cares. It's not just black people who are terrorized when Charlie Kirk does some meme of, making nasty scapegoating claims about that murder. It's not just people of color. It's not just his family or just black people who feel offended and hurt. People who care. And we're dealing with, those are shocking boundary violations. The Charlie Kirk career, like that of Vance, is made out of shocking boundary violations. Grabbing the Sudetenland, grabbing someone's crotch and saying, oh, what, you don't, what, this is a problem? Well, you don't worry about it. It's not, you're not doing anything wrong. It's not a problem. It's just fine that my hands are right here, just where I like them. Oh gosh, you're nice and soft. And that is where it starts. Hitler grabs the Sudetenland and he is placated. And maybe he just doesn't leave. Maybe he just doesn't take his hand off. We're dealing with shocking boundary violations. And dog whistles have special power because they can deliver shocking boundary violation that titillates some people and that terrorizes some people. And it typically titillates the people who know it will be terrorizing to others. Because it is terrorism. The incredible danger of the bold-faced, tyrannical, authoritarian censorship of the Trump authoritarian regime, it's damningly deadly. It is insane. They are rupturing fact. They are taking a country that birthed the greatest generation and trying to form us into a new axis of evil. The greatest generation included my uncle. The greatest generation included enough of us to stop these Nazis. If we can't, then we just are a failure. We are just Nazis. Hitler won. It is all based on lies. It is all based on violence and lies. These ridiculous bigots like Charlie Kirk, going and vandalizing people's lives, terrorizing, excruciating the experiences of people with racist venom, has always been terrorism, has always been meant to make people break down and move away or kill themselves or leave or not re-register for that second semester after all. It is meant to disenfranchise and to torture and to coerce, to normalize harm. Shocking boundary violations are not just words. Devastating, dehumanizing superviolence, that is the ethos of Stephen Miller and ICE. They are strategically loading people with vicious hatred. Stephen Miller is a Nazi patriarchal terrorist, and he wants people to see ICE attacking people like they're holding a bomb dead man switch, that if we just attack them and get them, God, quick, they're holding somebody's mom in a basement. It seems when parents picking up their kid from a doctor's appointment are kidnapped by the Ku Klux Klan calling themselves ICE. We continue to be in a space where a lot of what we think is now law is not. A lot of shit is being declared by somebody who doesn't get to cement shit by declaration. And we have to push back. In fact, we have to push it the fuck over. We need to remove this authoritarian regime. We need to sue them for what they're doing. We need to stop ICE in the street. We need to find ways to immobilize and safely hold them until they can be returned or put in jail. They should be arrested, just like Stephen Miller. And if you're wondering why, if you're just joining us and you're wondering why on earth, why in the world would we want to arrest Stephen Miller? Well,
you are in an abusive relationship. Shocking boundary violations are one common grooming tactic of a narcissist or dark triad personality. If someone in your life points into a camera knowing you'll be looking at the view screen and pulls their finger like a trigger, looking into your eyes, saying, I could shoot someone in the street and not lose anyone, it is a good indicator of a bad situation. You are in an abusive relationship. Who has leveraged and climbed upon a fog of falsehood? Who has donned the falsehood? Who is the falsehood?
The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell facts are factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts are factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts are factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts are factual actually. The falsehood will tell you.
Are you seeing anything unique tonight?
Well, I did see something interesting. I can tell you about it if you'd like. But you'd have to sit down with me for a while.
Oh, okay. I'm a little tired. I might need to take a nap. You look kind of tired too, actually.
Yes, just a little bit. Yes. Yes, I'm not as tired as you, though.
I think you might be right. But in any case, here we are in the Mystery Font 42. We're readying for showings of the falsehood. I wonder, Lincoln must have called for all those years back, 1865, 1864, 1865. He must have called himself for information that could lead to the arrest, the identification and arrest of the falsehood. Who could it be? Doesn't quite. Does it look like me? Slightly? Doesn't quite. Maybe we'll never know. But we can say this: the falsehood will tell you your eyes are evil to see. That much is true.
are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will demonize your sensitivity. The falsehood will claim the press is our enemy. To cry fake news, then preempt remedy, suggests false identity. We are the reality distortion. We are the reality distortion field. The fielding is real and the real is real. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. We are the reality distortion fielding. the feet of separation. 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. 6 the feet of separation. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He meant to draw iceberg Titanic. He didn't mean to cause a panic, yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. The Nazis lost in World War II. As Ally radar read their crew, and what we knew was probably due. The great American wall builder said, I know what to do. I can use you. Just let it through. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. That's not what I call guardian. You embody a jewel trump. what your heart was. It's what your heart was. It's what your heart will not abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's how your word becomes action. It's that your words and honest word. How long must you menace us? You do doubt the new Colossus. You're a real God. You're a real God. You're a real God. 6 feet of separation. 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 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. 6 feet of separation. He didn't mean to cause a panic. You didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. You didn't mean to cause a panic.
I think we need to tell NASA that we expect NASA to defend our satellites, that we expect our eyes and ears to be defended,
And I think it's time to arrest Stephen Miller. What possible reason would we have to wait? Why would we not arrest Stephen Miller now? While we can stop planes from dropping people into oceans, while we can stop planes from taking people away from inalienable rights. They are, remember, fulfilling projections. How many times have we been told that the left is trying to destroy the country? The country is literally being taken apart. Sabotage and all of the inalienable rights alienated, or us from them. It's time. We have to wake up and recognize that we are actually on the floor and our body is in need of repair to simply be able to function. That we've been gutted and rather looted. We need to wake up. We need to wake up.
I made a speech. I looked out. The field it looked like a million and a half people. They showed a field where there were practically nobody standing there.
The new White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, gave his first press briefing. He was also highly critical of some media organisations of the way he felt they had misrepresented the number of people who'd attended Friday's inauguration ceremony.
No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
It does not excuse, and you did not answer the question.
I did answer your question.
No, you did not. You did not answer the question of why the president asked the White House press secretary to come out in front of the podium for the first time and utter a falsehood. Why did he do that? It undermines the credibility of the entire White House press office on day one.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
This was the largest ever.
What is that? Is that an iceberg? What is that ship? Is that the bad ship Manifest Destiny? I think I recognize that one.
The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty.
We can discern the falsehood together. Live long and prosper, and more soon. From the mystery font.